All right, family. You made it from TikTok. Congratulations. We're going to go over infinite consciousness. Those 3-hour videos really don't do the justice that I'm looking for. So I figure we see in pictures. When you think in pictures, okay? When I say R-E-D, those are words. You take that word and you remember, oh, it's that picture. Or if I say C-A-R, you take that word, you take the picture to what that word means. That's car. You look at a car. Right? If I tell you to close your eyes and say, look at your refrigerator, what color is it? The picture will come up what the color of the refrigerator looks like. So we think in pictures, okay? So with that being said, I've said plenty of times on my videos, life is infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. Inside of infinity, no boundaries. And also with that being said, infinite consciousness, infinite imagination is reality. And reality is your God. That's profound. Now, this is what we do. This bubble represents infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, meaning I can speak anything. Consciousness means anything can come out of my mouth. Imagination means I can close my eyes, or I don't even have to close my eyes, and I can imagine anything that's infinite. So this is how this life on this realm is. You have infinity to deal with. You have this whole bubble, any thought, any perception, anything. You have unlimited pool to work with. But this is what happened. And here's the problem with that. I mean, there's no problem, but here's this. Let's get to this. All right, us draw. I'm gonna draw 2 circles. All right. That's ego number 1. That's ego number 2. Now keep in mind, like I said, on this realm, now that you understand, you got to understand that you're God. You can go through my TikTok videos. I talk about it all the time. In this realm that you have infinite consciousness, infinite imagination to deal with. But what happened with the powers that be that control this planet or this realm that we're in, they got it set up like this. When you were 12 years, for the first 12 years of your life, your mother, your father, your grandmother, your religion, their perspectives about everything, all these things that divide you, the Democrat, the Republican, the liberal, all the things that happen in that span of those 12 years, all the diseases, all the things on the news, everything that happened at school, things that all the reactions that you got from children around you in your first 12 years is bottled up inside of this circle right here, these 2 circles. And that is what created you. If your name is John Smith, inside of infinite consciousness, you have no name. But for the sake of this realm, you're John Smith, ego number 1. That's everything about you, your characteristics and everything in those first 12 years. Other people programmed you, a light being with spiritual, well, I would say with electrical currents, which are thoughts and behaviors and your characteristics. All 12 years of your life, somebody else planted that into your head. And then when you turned 12, it solidified and you became John Smith, whatever your name is, ego 1. So now you have limitations. At 12 years old, as John Smith, you have all your behavior. You got a bubble inside of the ego for behavior, a bubble inside the ego for perception, a bubble inside the ego for characteristics, a bubble inside the ego for just what you believe life is and all that. Outside of that bubble, there's the unknown. Sometimes you tap inside of that bubble, but equilibrium or a I guess what you call homeostasis, will kick you right back inside of your ego bubble. Now, you turn 18 years old, right? The bubble thickens. Now the bubble's thicker. Now it's harder to go into, tap into infinite consciousness because you're so endoused in this ego mind that now when you do want to do something, let's just say in the first 12 years of your life, you didn't play basketball, but you're 18 years old. Now you want to try to play basketball. Now it's difficult for you because mommy kept telling you, as a baby, oh man, you don't want to do that. You hurt yourself. Oh, that's too hard. Blah blah blah. All her thoughts are inside of your ego, a certain part of your mind, another bubble. Another bubble right here. That bubble right there is telling you that basketball is hard. Basketball is for tall people. If you haven't been playing this long, you're not going to make it. Oh, and blah blah blah. All of these limited stories about basketball are sitting in that bubble. So by the time you turn 18 and you try to play basketball, now you're dealing with two bubbles and probably more bubbles, obviously, on top of that. You can't go into the unknown, which the unknown is the pool of this big giant circle called infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, where all your powers lay as God. It's harder and harder to go into that the older you get, especially if nobody's teaching you this. So now you got those limited ideas in that small little bubble right there, and you never learn to play basketball. Now, I use basketball for an example. I could have used anything. Let's just say that bubble was your behaviors, and you had behaviors that were giving you a C- in school. So you collected all the behaviors of a C- student, and you were trying to get A's. In order for you to get A's, you would have to come out of this bubble and tap into the unknown. And I'm gonna illustrate that in a second. But I just wanted to show you, this is the illustration, because we think in pictures. This is the illustration of how things are. Now, before I go on, let me go to well, you know what? I'm gonna leave that for last. I'm gonna leave the how to take that bubble and go into the unknown. We're gonna leave that for last. Matter of fact, let me put on the notes now to leave that for last. All right. So let me draw another bubble for the illustration. So remember, this bubble over here, ego 1, is John Smith. He got a whole bunch of bubbles inside of his ego. That's all limited behaviors and this, that, and the third. And none of it is accessing each other because it's inside of the ego bubble. Now you got ego number 2 over here. This is another person. His first 12 years was somebody else planting electrical charges into his central nervous system to make his character, to make his beliefs, to make his perceptions, all that. We're all like this. Everything that we learned, our perception, our behavior, our religion, our stand in life came from the first 12 years of your life that created that central nervousness to make you what you are now. Somebody else did this to you, meaning you gave your authority away unwillingly. You was a child. You gave your authority away to your parents and everybody else. So when you turn 12, you became the ego, and now you're 18, 19, 20. You don't know who you are. You're somebody else's project, especially the government. There's a lot of stuff that the government put on you through your mom, through the church, through all that. Like, you got so much trash in you. So here you are, 20 years old. Now you got ego 1 and 2. Both of them don't know who they are. They don't even understand what I'm explaining to you. Now ego 1 and 2 tries to get with each other and get in a relationship. Now watch this. This circle and this circle are in disagreement with each other. Rule number 1, ego 1 doesn't, and ego 2 doesn't know who they are. They don't understand their mind. Then number 2, both of their minds are different. So when they get together, they start clashing and having a thing that we call arguments and disagreements. And then now here you go. You can add another bubble right here. Here's a bubble on how you deal with disagreements. Now think about it. Think about how you deal with hard times and disagreeing and people that are disagreeable. You learn all of that behavior from mommy, daddy, grandma, and your family and all of that. So however your family or however you were learned in the first 12 years of your life how to deal with disagreements is what you're going to do to the person that's disagreeable with you. So what we do, it's just like clockwork. We end up staying like idiots in relationships. We both beating on each other, bashing on each other. This perception is a clashing with that perception. We never, neither one of us are growing now because we're stuck in an uncomfortable position. We start having kids and we start the process over. Now you're creating little kids in an ego, and their ego will be the sum of ego 1 and ego 2. And you wonder why the kids are all tore up. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm trying to do it in an illustrated way so you can understand it. And that's what we do when we get out in this world. Look like a little, if I put a little smile right here, it'd be a little Pikachu. Let me see. Let's do this. Ah, a little smile. And the smile go away. But you get what I'm saying, family? All jokes aside, that is how we do. And it ain't just gotta be relationship, it could be anybody. You guys, we're all different because we all been programmed a specific way by our family and by people that are around us when we were younger, and our foundation is different. And a lot of us don't even understand our foundation, so you don't understand yourself. So when you come out here in the real world, you come out here in the real world and you're in trouble. You don't know how you're going to react in this real world after 18. Hell, some of us are 20 and 30 and still don't understand how we react. You're reacting based off of electrical circuits that are in your central nervous system that was programmed there from other people. So this is why I teach very carefully and candidly that you have to walk and take the hero's journey. You have to start getting your spiritual game up. You're going to have to go and correct some of those bubbles. Because if life is infinite consciousness and infinite imagination, then guess what? One little question poked the wrong way, your perception erases. One little perception poked the wrong way, your behavior changes. And ultimately, and it's been done, one little poke or little thing put together and your ego will erase. And when your ego erases while you're alive, that's what we call enlightenment, where you come back to the infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. You're wide open and you accept nothing but absolute love. And that's what reality is. Reality is absolute love also. That is the highest vibration. When we're talking about vibrations here, we're not talking about good, bad. Those are perceptions. Good, bad is relative. That's relative to what? This wall is bad relative to who? Whoever the person is saying that is bad. It's not bad for everyone else. That's just a bubble inside of the ego. Every perception, every idea, all of it's just relative to other people's ideas. Now, hopefully you understand that. If you don't, as time go on, you'll understand what I'm saying. It's simple stuff. So you get that. Let's erase this. Remember, this is what we call we're living in this, you have all the power and all of the abilities to tap into the infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. This is how you grow. Real true thinking. And again, and when you're in the ego, everything's already prepackaged. So a lot of us are walking around not even thinking. Everything's prepackaged into your ego. But when you come out of the ego, that's what real thinking is, to tap into the unknown. The unknown is the infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, where you are God at. You are omnipresence. You're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? You are me and I am you, and we're nothing and everything at the same time. That is what it is, family. So again, I'm gonna go over this narrative and I want you to see it. I want you to make sure you see what I'm saying here. Okay, see, I put this circle here. Let me erase this stuff. It's a lot of little, hold on, a lot of little stuff. All right, this circle, let me put a line up. Can I put the line? It look weird. All right, this circle represents two parts of your mind. The first part is this part right here. Excuse my drawing. This is the subconscious. This is this is basically where all of your, it's like a computer. This is your C drive, where all the stuff just automatically happens. Your behaviors, your perceptions, your religion, everything comes from subconscious that were programmed into you. And this right here represents the conscious mind. These are the things that you could just, you do, you know, I look at this piece of paper and say, hey, tomorrow I want to create paper. And then tomorrow come your ass don't make no paper. And there's two different types of there's two different different types of ideas. You have an X idea and a Y idea. The X idea is, hey, I want to learn how to play basketball. So I'm gonna put BB. The X idea will come to the conscious mind. Now, in order for this to sync and go into your C drive, you know what I'm saying? You have to tap into the unknown, which is out here, and keep exercising X ideas. X, you have to keep exercising X ideas, basketball, everything that comes with it. That's the practicing of it. When you practice shooting and all the little practices, all that thing is doing is programming into your central nervous system. And you got that from the unknown, right? After a while, you keep playing with an idea. You have to do a certain thing called emotions. This is what makes things stick. You go to the unknown and you get the X idea. You get emotionally involved in the X idea. And as soon as you keep doing this for a long period of time, the X idea becomes a Y idea. When the basketball becomes a Y idea, you don't have to think anymore. Your mind will automatically do it. Now, we don't have to use basketball. Let's think about, for me, Forex trading. Let's say you don't know how to trade Forex. Forex is the X idea. You tap into the unknown. Do your research. Learn how to trade the strategy, this, that, and the third, etc., etc. You do that for a long periods of time and you get emotionally involved in doing it with repetition with some emotions. And eventually, after a certain amount of time, Forex will become a Y idea in your mind and you'll automatically do it. And you'll know when it becomes subconsciously sticking, because you'll do it and you'll be totally relaxed while you're doing it. Like you can tell if somebody's doing something and they don't know how to do it. They're not relaxed. They're thinking too much. It's still an it's still an X idea. It's too much, well, not thinking, it's too much struggle. The X idea is the struggle. Struggle hurts. Struggle is uncomfortable, but you got to get uncomfortable in order for it to become a Y idea to your subconscious mind. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. So once you do something for a long time and you start getting totally relaxed with it, like when you first start driving the car, you was uncomfortable. The person right here was uncomfortable. You were holding on to that thing. You were trying to get the mechanics, and people knew that you were new. But that one moment when you got into that car and started driving and you was able to draw, you was able to look at your phone and drive and do all this other stuff, that's when it became that Y idea. Because I'm telling you right now, if an 18-year-old jumps in a car, never drove a car, and start driving and they start texting, they're going to crash the car. Why? It's not a Y idea yet. It didn't sink into the subconscious mind yet. And that's the problem. So again, let's go back over it. X idea is what something you're trying to learn. You tap into the infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. You get totally emotionally involved in the X. You continue to repeat it. You repeatedly do it, and you do it with confidence. and you be persistent and patient with yourself, and the next thing you know, subconsciously, it will become a why idea. Very simple, isn't it? I don't know why they didn't teach us this. This is basics of learning. They didn't teach us this in school at all, what they weren't supposed to, because you're dealing with it's a crazy society here. Now I'm gonna go over one more thing, and we're gonna conclude this video because I don't want to make it too long. Let's do this. Circle number 1, circle number 2. Circle inside the circle, bubble inside the bubble, paradigm inside the paradigm, paradigm bubble. This bubble over here on this side represents Christianity in this person's mind. This bubble over here represents Islam in this person's mind. Now, I talk about this a lot on my videos. Okay, here it goes. Christianity, this is a strong Christian, this is a strong Muslim. How can this Christian understand Islam outside of this bubble? In this bubble, they have a self-bias, and they don't go outside their bubble. They do it, boing, go right back in the bubble. Inside of this bubble, Islam is moon god worshiping. It's the wrong this. There's all these things. Inside this bubble, they'll never understand Islam. Same with Islam. Islam can never understand Christianity inside of this Islam bubble. No, 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 no. And then obviously you don't have to use Christianity. You can be like, okay, a conservative will never understand a diplomat inside of a conservative mind. A diplomat would never understand a conservative inside of that diplomat mind. You're gonna have a self-bias. Self-bias, meaning that this bubble of diplomat is gonna see it only the way diplomats see it. Now, there's 2 ways of understanding the situation when it comes to perception. There's B perception and A perception. A perception is seeing things the way you see it. That's what self-bias is. B perception is seeing things as is. So in order for the Christian over here to truly understand Islam, they would have to remove themselves out of the bubble and come to the Islamic bubble and understand Islam. And once they understand it, if they would like to bring themselves back over here, they can. And I'm telling you right now, with anything, this ain't got to be just with Islam or any idea. If you truly want to understand the idea, come out of your own ideas about it and go and join that thing and understand it. You'll understand it way better, and you won't be so this phenomenon of coming out of the bubble and shooting back in won't happen. And when you know if somebody's coming out their bubble and shoot back in, because they have a defense mechanism. They protect this bubble. There's a shield behind their ego and their bubble. And if you poke that shield and you ask the right questions, this shield will poke and break, because it's a part of infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. And really, there's no boundaries inside of infinite consciousness and infinite imagination. So the fact that there's a boundary around Christianity is a problem. One poke and it will burst this thing. And when it bursts, you'll see them, how they react in anything. It ain't got to be just Christianity, Islam. It could be any school of thought. It could be the LGBT, anything. When you go and poke that bubble, because all bubbles need to be poked anyway. We should be over here in the infinite, the puddle of infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. If you poke their bubble, the defense mechanisms will come up. They'll get angry. They'll start using their emotions. They'll start attacking you. They won't hear a damn thing you said, because they're too busy protecting this bubble. This bubble at all costs they protect with their ego. This is what the first circle is. The ego is protecting that bubble. You don't need to protect any school of thought now that you understand that life is infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, and inside of infinity, there's no boundaries. So all bubbles should be burst, even the ego itself. I am not me. I am not the body. I'm not the mind. I have a body. I have a mind, but I am a part of the infinite consciousness, infinite imagination. And when I die, this ego, all these bubbles that are inside of here will mean nothing. They won't mean a thing. And guess what? They don't mean a thing now. So why have them? And honestly, there's a law of polarity. And in law of polarity is if you can find three things that are bad with something, you can find three good things. So life is neutral, right down the middle, neutral. There's yin, here's the yin, and then there's the yang on the other side. Life is neutral. So if you want to create a bubble right here, and this bubble is good, everything that's good in life is in this bubble, and everything bad in life is this bubble, you can do that. But when it comes to infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, and reality itself, life is neutral. And that might be a hard pill for everyone to swallow, because they're gonna be like, oh, but what about a man marrying a 12-year-old? Thousands of years ago, men were marrying 12-year-olds and being with 12-year-olds. There's people now that still marry 11-year-olds. So is in America is wrong, but in other places is right. So marrying 12-year-olds is bad relative to United States only, in other places. But it's good relative to, what is it, Iceland that does it, and Saudi Arabia and all that. So it all depends on the perception. Remember, you got a bubble inside of your ego called perception. And it ain't even your damn bubble. Somebody else put that together. You don't have your own perceptions yet because you didn't go and fix on yourself yet. Your perception is just a bubble. And life is infinite consciousness, infinite imagination, meaning infinite perception. And this is the problem with us being humans. You got one bubble right here. Maybe your perception bubble is about this big, right? But you can't see nobody else's perception. It's hard. Some people can, but your whole life you're gonna be stuck on one perception, and you're gonna be glued to that. You'll try to add in some here and there, but you'll be glued in that perception. And some of y'all perceptions are holding y'all back from y'all success. Some of your perceptions are having you wanting to commit suicide. Some of your perceptions got you thinking that you are terrible, and some of your perceptions are thinking you the shit. Some of your perceptions are making you successful and making you get money and making you having a meaningful life. It all depends on what electrical current in those first 12 years inside of that perception bubble was planted there. But see, if something's bad was planted there, that's when you go back to that illustration that I had about learning something new and use the X and the Y to do that. And I know I'm making it really simple, but if this is the make everything simple for you, you're God. Simplify everything. You can do that. But with that being said, I thank you for listening to me, and I will be making more videos definitely to get you guys to understand this stuff. And we're gonna go from here. We're gonna have a great life, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on TikTok and some, we are interacting or on YouTube, and it's gonna be great. I love it. But until next time, see you.